But first, and speaking of Anthony Albanese, he's in China this week talking about trade and tourism. It's the great diplomatic two-step where the Prime Minister smiles sweetly, shakes hands and pretends not to notice the armed warships idling just off our coast. To be fair, China is our largest trading partner and our second largest source of tourists, which is great news if your definition of healthy relationship includes economic dependency on a regime that arrests journalists, surveils students and threatens to take over Taiwan like it's asking for extra dumplings. Because if you close your eyes, cover your ears and whisper iron ore and steel like it's an economic rosary, well, the geopolitical threat of the Chinese Communist Party apparently just disappears.
Australia's iron ore leaders, the importance of Australian iron ore exports to the steel-making process. Our iron ore is a critical industry in Australia. Australia is proudly the largest producer of iron ore in the world. Iron ore. We supply half of the world's iron ore. Steel is the backbone of the modern economy. Australian iron ore exporters. Australian iron ore is the engine room for the world's iron ore, and we're responsible for more than half of China's iron ore imports.
So there you have it. In Shanghai today, the PM was beaming like a Year 10 student on excursion as he waxed lyrical about steel manufacturing and the glories of bilateral cooperation. But mention national defence and the threat posed by China, well, suddenly Anthony Albanese gets the body language of a man who just sat on a cactus.
Does it frustrate you that while you're here we're getting stories leaked out of the Pentagon which are distracting from that and putting the focus on security instead?
I'm very focused on my purpose of being here.
He bristled and he wiggled because nothing ruins a good trade junket like being reminded that the people you're clinking glasses with are also pointing warships in your direction. At the very same time that our Prime Minister is in China, the Chinese are spying on our joint military exercises with the US and Japan off the coast of northern Australia. And naturally, Anthony Albanese pretended that this was all very natural. Spying on the Australian military is, after all, just one of those things our friends do from time to time.
What is your message about the circumnavigation of Australia by the Chinese flotilla, live fire drills and the suspected surveillance ships now watching Talisman Sabre? Is this an act of a friend?
With regard to the second question, that would be nothing unusual that has happened in the past.
If Albanese were any more relaxed about the Chinese threat, he'd be promising not to even mention to Xi Jinping that Australia wants our port of Darwin back unless Xi specifically asks. In fact, that's exactly what the Prime Minister said he'd do.
And what will you be telling Xi Jinping tomorrow about your government's promise to force the sale of the port of Darwin?
I will be, if it's raised, our position's very clear, and I'm sure that the President's very clear and is knowledgeable of that.
So we're playing it cool, like a hostage hoping the kidnapper won't notice he's chewing through the ropes. It was the same when Albanese was asked about Donald Trump, a man who, say what you like, at least has the moral clarity to call out China for what it is, a hostile authoritarian regime with global ambitions and zero patience for weakness. Albanese, who can organise a 6-day tour of communist China but can't arrange a coffee with Donald Trump, was asked if he was any closer to a meeting with the President of the United States.
I'm focused here in China.
Well, isn't that exactly the point? The PM is, by his own admission, focused on China, while the relationship with our key ally is increasingly in question. And then the PM, as he's wont to do, got defensive.
I've been to the United States 5 times. I've been to China twice. Tony Abbott visited Beijing before he visited Washington after his election, as did Malcolm Fraser, as did Kevin Rudd.
All of that is a fascinating history lesson. The difference, of course, is that Australia's relationship with our key ally wasn't in question when Abbott was PM.
As much as, you know, I understand the fascination which is there. I've met with US representatives. Our Australian government ministers have been to the United States, and I've been to the United States as well just a couple of weeks ago.
And isn't that the point, Prime Minister? You've met with representatives of the US. You just can't or won't get a meeting with the leader of the US. I note that King Charles, who doesn't even have a mobile phone, can get a meeting with Donald Trump. The White House has confirmed that Trump will spend 2 days with the King in England in September.
We have had 3 constructive phone conversations.
And I had a constructive phone conversation with the Qantas call centre earlier today, but I'm still seated in 28F for my upcoming flight. I digress.
I look forward to that happening between now and the end of the year. G20, Quad, APEC, a range of meetings, as well as, of course, the potential for a visit, another visit to the United States.
Albanese looks forward to a meeting with Trump, which could happen at any time or not at all, much like Chinese promises to respect international law. The greatest irony in the Prime Minister's comments from China today came when he spoke about how important it was to get business leaders from Australia in the same room as business leaders from China. Have a listen to what he said.
At the end of the day, people-to-people relations are so important. And the relationship that these business people have with their Chinese counterparts, I've just seen firsthand.
Well, on that point, the PM is exactly right. At the end of the day, people-to-people relationships are so important. So what does it say that he's having yet another person-to-person meeting with Xi Jinping tomorrow, but hasn't had and shows no urgency in having any person-to-person meeting with the leader of the United States?